our poor boy Blade continues to suffer not just from being Mara struck and having bad experience in his life, but also poor damage compared to other DPS characters as HSR gets older. I really love playing with Blade thanks to his HP as a resource playstyle, which is quite different from the traditional DPS that is all about clicking buttons and you deal damage. Sadly, after that, Daimos came, which is a much better version of Blade. So what is the problem with Blade Kit at the moment? I can think of a couple of reasons, such as the multi-scaling of him causing him to not have a dedicated support for his playstyle. He wants to get hit but doesn't have a reliable way to get hit. And then self-HP management is difficult outside having a dedicated healers because he cannot revive himself unlike my Deimos, or timing your ultimate correctly to either make you heal or you want to increase the count on his follow-up attack. And all of this makes him to be harder to play compared to my Daimos that have max HP boost when he enters his Anga Banga mode, but also he has an almost infinite revive if you play him right, and also healing with his ultimate. So if you compare these two skits, I think Blade's kit is a bit weak and boring. But hey, there's finally light at the end of the tunnel as version 3.4 is rapidly approaching, and at the moment, we're currently at the beta phase of version 3.4, and there's some information regarding the buffs for Blade. So here are the buffs that we currently know. The first one, so changing his attack from multi-scaling to full HP scaling. The first one is normal basic attack from 100% attack scaling to 50% scaling of HP at max level. And then his enhanced basic attack from 100% HP plus 40% attack to 130% HP. So his ultimate from 40% attack plus 100% HP plus 100% HP loss to 150% HP plus 100% HP loss. And his talent damage for follow-up attack from 44% attack plus 110% HP scaling to full 130% HP scaling. So yeah, basically full HP scaling, which currently very strong thanks to many available relics that really support this kind of playstyles at the moment. So with higher scaling, that will benefit him quite a bit. And the secondly will be he has increased taunt value if he activates his skill, which is not bad. It is useful, but I think guaranteed taunt is more important. But then again, he's different from my Daimos, I guess, because he doesn't have a revival skill. While my Daimos, if he dies, he can just revive himself. I guess this is a fine addition. And then his follow-up attack now regenerate 15 plus energy. And lastly, now his Eidolon 1, instead of just tallying the HP loss to buff his ultimate, now it also buffs his enhanced basic attack. This is neat because his main way of dealing damage is not the ult, but his enhanced basic attack. So with this, he should be dealing a significant amount of damage now, if you have the E1 that is. But I was hoping that instead of locking this mechanic behind his Eidolon, it would have been better if it was baked into his main kit instead. Either put them in a trace or in the talent. So that's all we currently know about his buff. For what I've gathered from the beta tester, it doesn't make Blade to be viable again, and pretty strong with that. Honestly though, at the moment, his buff is kind of boring. It doesn't really alter his playstyle, which is a bit different from Silverwolf. I appreciate the increased taunt value, but even that is not exactly guaranteed. But as I've said, without revival, I guess this is the best they can add into a Blade. I can see the perspective of simple buff sometimes is the best way to make the character stronger. However, I can't help but think that it is such a wasted opportunity to evolve old characters to the same quality of the new ones. So now that we have taken a look at the buffs the developers have given to him, and I've said how I feel about it, I have a proposal with 3 different ways I think we can make his playstyle a bit different, while also makes him stronger. So if the developers decide to only buff Blade with the HP scaling mostly, perhaps my idea will be used for his future buff instead, if the developers hearing my video that is. So what's up guys, KKaceh here, back with another discussion video of Honkai Star Rail. This is the 6th video of the series How Can We Buff a Character. I'm planning to do this periodically every time when there are characters that probably should be buffed. So if you're looking forward to hear more discussion of that, do leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you know when the next video is here. Next one, we're going to cover the ones that have been confirmed, so Kafka or Jingliu. We're going to take a look at their beta buff, and then I'm going to propose my ideas. Anyway, for this video, how can we buff Blade? So for the first idea, I'm going to start with a more realistic and simple implementation. So on top of his current buff of changing scaling, we'll also need increased max point for basic attack level. This way, all characters that relies on basic attack will have better scaling moving forward. So rather than a character buff, it is more like a archetype or mechanics buff. With that, blade damage scaling will also go up along with other characters. It feels like at the moment, basic attack is something that is only used just to get skill point back or a mean to activate the character gimmicks like building up charges for follow-up attacks and so on. And right now, there are only 4 characters that really rely on basic attack to deal damage, which are Blade, Danheng-il, March 7th, The Hunt, and Aglaya. There are others with enhanced basic attack like Boothill, Fuke, Gallagher, but the main ways they deal damage is more from the break scaling, not exactly from the pure basic attack damage. So except Aglaya, a more recent character that gets so many turns thanks to her speed build and has a much bigger scaling of combining both Aglaya and her Memo Sprite, Blade's HP and attack scaling seems so poor in comparison. So for those who use enhanced basic attack as their main ways to deal damage, their enhanced basic attack should have a much higher scaling, comparable to other characters' enhanced skill or enhanced ultimate, for example. So if the maximum basic attack level is increased, Blade, Danheng-il, and March will benefit a lot and elevate their teams to higher level and compete with more recent characters. However, the problem is that Aglaya will also get so much stronger and still leave the others behind, so that is something that needs to be cautious about from the developer side. So to make sure Aglaya is not that much ahead of the rest of the basic attack DPS, other than just increasing maximum level of basic attack, other buffs needs to be added into the other characters instead. So for the second idea, speaking of giving the other characters more buffs, we should add revive mechanics into Blade. Lore-wise, Blade is an immortal, just like Medaimos, so it should be obvious that kind of mechanics should be added into him as well. But to differentiate from Medaimos, gameplay-wise we also want him to die, because his Mara struck, the more he dies, the more he will go berserk. So to translate this into gameplay, every time he dies or his HP reaches 1 point, or to make it more generous, maybe less than 10%, he will have special animation that permanently buffs his stats and then recovers some of his HP, maybe like 20%, while also guaranteed taunting the enemy like Medaimos or highly boost his taunt value. So to differentiate his revive mechanics to not be similar with Medaimos Vendetta that can revive so many times, make Blades to be has a limited amount of quantity on how many times he can revive, like twice or something. This way, not only it is more lore accurate toward his character being Mara struck, it is also still allows us to have that playstyle of being cautious while managing his HP, because there's a limit on how many times he can die. So this whole buff, it kinda still gives an incentive for you to play a bit risky to get his HP to be very low for players who really like this kind of turn-based playstyle, like myself for example. And the last idea, this one is a follow-up to my comment about his Eidolon buff from the leak. Add a Blazer mechanic that record his HP loss and also HP recovered to all of his kit. Much like the Divergent universe, some of the Blazer recorded will be reduced every time he deals damage. So his HP ceiling doesn't go that high, and it is more fair that way, because you need to keep recharging the Blazer. But keep in mind that we must not allow healing overflow. I think that should be reserved for a support kit instead of a DPS kit. On top of that, makes it that when he receives healing, not healing overflow, that also counts toward his follow-up attack counter once every one follow-up attack unleash or something. So that way he can activate it more often. Because with 5, and we happen to be very unlucky and Blade not getting hit, it might take 2 to 3 turns to get his follow-up attack to proc once even. So this really helps to speed that up a little bit. Well, that is all for Blade. The current buff from the league for Blade seems like it is enough to make him to be viable in many scenarios again. However, moving forward, we should ask a question. Will Blade needs another buff? I'm just afraid that the current buff doesn't change the fundamental problems of Blade, which is why I think more than just fixing the scaling, we need to change how he's being played. And that's why I put those 3 ideas. Making him able to revive will be pretty good, as the enemy will only grow stronger as time progresses, while also making a good use of the Blazer mechanic that I think should be included to all HP based character, or have a support that allows this kind of playstyle. And at the same time, for basic attack characters, they should have a few more levels on it so that their scaling will be much better and able to compete with those who are using enhanced skill or even enhanced ultimate, for example. Honestly though, I'm hoping HSR will do what ZZZ is gonna do moving forward, buffing characters by adding new moveset that was implemented in their weekly challenge. So in other words, ZZZ makes their simulated universe / divergent universe as an experimental ground for buffing characters. Well, that's it. Do you have your own idea on how we can make Blade great again? Do share your ideas in the comment section. Maybe we can come up with a very fun Blade kit that matches with the current meta. Especially right now with how Blade is being added into the 50-50 pool, now more people have chance to make their Blade stronger. Anyway, which character do you want me to discuss next on how we can buff them? Currently, I'm planning to do Kafka, a much needed character to buff because Dot seems to be obsolete at the moment. And then we're gonna cover Jingliu before moving to another standard banner characters. But if many of you are interested in other characters, do leave a comment and I will take that into consideration. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you hear, leave a like in the video and subscribe to my channel. I make Honkai Star Rail discussion content, especially from a game design standpoint. I'm really excited to see how Star Rail is going to move forward with all these interesting design choices that they're planning, but also how they're going to address the problems that arise with them. I will do my best to make at least one video every 2 weeks. Anyway, thanks for listening. Until the next video, stay sharp gamers.
Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe!